All right, hi everyone. We'll probably get started right about now if that sounds good. Hi to everyone who joined us online. I'm Julia, the Vice President of Troy Hill Citizens. I just want to say thanks to everyone for showing up, participating, getting involved in the community. We have a packed agenda tonight, so I'll get it going by inviting Sergeant Fulford and or Commander Malloy from Zone 1 to give us an update.
Good evening, everyone. Mike Burford here from Zone 1. Thanks for having us tonight. Commander Malloy, are you on?
Yeah, I just got on. Thanks for
Okay.
giving me the update on that.
No problem. Yeah, we are, Officer Defio, are you on as well?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay. All right, guys. Hey, Eric, will you go ahead with the stats for the last 30 days? Start it off.
Yeah, absolutely. For the last 30 days, reports in your neighborhood, we had 17. There were 2 arrests. Your numbers are trending downward, just like every other neighborhood has been trending downward as we get to the end of the summertime. Kids are going to be going back to school soon. So we usually see these numbers come down. 2 recurring themes that we're seeing in your community, as well as some others, are theft from vehicles, and especially theft from vehicles when people are leaving firearms in the vehicles. And the other one is package thefts. If you guys are going to have any packages delivered and you know you're not going to be home, these are usually taking place during the day. If you can ask a neighbor to keep an eye out for it, these are usually targets of opportunity. People walking by, they see it, they grab it, and they go.
I think we're losing you there.
Can you got me? I think it's the background noise. Somebody needs to be muted. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so the theft from vehicles, that's another in your community as well as others. And we're seeing a lot of firearms being left in vehicles. The other is the package thefts. If you're going to have anything delivered, you know you're not going to be home, ask a neighbor if they can keep an eye out for you and grab it until you get home. Usually these are targets of opportunity. And most of the time, packages aren't spending much time on people's porches before they're taken. Other than those 2, there's no concerning trends that we could see for your neighborhood. If there's any other questions, we can take them now.
Commander Malloy, you're there. Anything you'd like to add?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Hey, I saw a question just come up in the chat regarding catalytic converter thefts. Yeah, we've seen an increase of those in our district and throughout the city. So actually, one of our detectives just identified a gentleman who has been down around the Howard Street area, which is just over, East Allegheny, pretty close proximity to you guys. So we were able to get some good video and some still pictures. It got sent out bureau-wide today, trying to identify him. And I think we're probably not going to have a problem identifying this guy here in the next couple of days. And we've gotten some leads too, because some people are showing up while this is actively occurring, and they're able to get license plates and such of the people who are doing it. It happens quick. We're seeing a lot of car lots get hit because those cars are left for extended periods of time without any kind of contact or even, noticing that the thing's gone, because a car sits on a lot sometimes for periods that are not started. So, it's something that we've seen zone wide, and we've got some good leads. But Detective Dolsky today actually sent some still pictures out of a male and female duo who've been identified doing it in zone 1. And hopefully that'll make an impact. Also, something else I wanted to bring up, it's not up in your area, but it's close proximity. We did have 3 sexual assaults in the last 10 days, and each victim kept saying common traits of the both all the victims were very emotional, very intox at the time. And the one was like kind of a side note that she had been sexually assaulted, She said it on a side note. Mainly, she was just hysterical, but she couldn't give us, due to her intoxication level, really a reason why whatsoever. She was had a hard time communicating at all. And at one point, she just said, "Hey, I was sexually assaulted." So we brought in the detectives, and the one thing that kept coming up was the gentleman was on a motorcycle. And after you hear that twice, I mean, you don't. The second time it came up, it was like, "Wow, this is the same guy." And then the third time, it was like, "Yeah, we've got an issue here." So our officers actually, let's see what night it was. It would have been Friday into Saturday morning. We're driving by the Sunoco station down on Cedar Avenue, and saw a male wearing the jacket that these females described, getting ready to get on top of a motorcycle. And when he saw the officers, he immediately went back inside the store and kind of acted like he wanted to go buy a drink. And he got apprehended down there. They detained him. And while they were on scene, a female come up and stated that male had just sexually assaulted her in an alley in a garage right up off of East Ohio Street. So he was arrested for that. He was from Washington County. And it was like, man, talk about the planets aligning of this guy staying around, and being there, and the heads up of that officer. So that individual was arrested. He has been charged with one sexual assault thus far. I would think that there'll be multiple others that he's going to be responsible for, and he's off the streets doing some good work by the officers. So, it made the papers. I'm not giving away any confidential information. It was in the papers this week. Just wanted to, give you guys some information on that. So, any questions or concerns that one have, we're here glad to answer.
I have one question, Sergeant Burford. We've heard reports that from other neighborhood groups that you've been having issues with the unhoused population that's kind of living down by East Ohio Street and by the, like by the riverfront, basically. Do you have any updates on that, or do you have a status you can share? Has that been brought to your attention?
I guess I could answer that. There's been some meetings, and yeah, we're definitely concerned about the homeless and all the tents popping up everywhere. Enforcement wise, it's not really in our hands right now. Unfortunately, believe it or not, a lot of those folks are actually on housing lists to get housing, but there isn't enough housing for them. So that's the problem. And I know the county's been giving them tents to stay in until they found housing. So I know I brought it up in a meeting, matter of fact, yesterday. We got to get with the county. Believe it or not, county has all the money. I was told yesterday they got $18 million their first installment, $9 million the next 2 years, just for those issues. And the city got $100,000. So that goes to show you where the money went. So I already brought that up, that we got to get with the county to help us handle this issue. I brought up there's some empty properties, things like that, where they maybe have to invest to house these individuals. But that's where we're at with that. And right now we're not legally allowed to enforce them, like kick them off the properties, unless it's on private property, like one of your properties or something like that.
We have
Does that
a
help?
from Rebecca in the mayor's office too, who I think wants to comment on this as well. So go ahead.
Sure.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to actually ask for some clarification on the question when you were asking about issues with the unhoused. Can you clarify what the request is there? Are we talking about getting them housing? Are you saying there's been a conflict between one of them and someone else? Can you be a little more specific?
So I'm asking because as part of the Northside Leadership Conference board meeting that I participated in a week or so ago, they were talking about other neighborhoods having issues with that. And I know we have a lot of folks from Troy Hill who use the Riverfront Trail. So I was just curious. I'm purely on a fact-finding mission myself, because this is not something obviously that we have happening directly in our streets, but I think still affects us as a Northside neighborhood. So.
Right, but can you clarify what what kind of issues are we talking about? Because there's so many different challenges in this conversation, and I just, my job is to report back to the mayor what the concerns are in each neighborhood. So I just want to clarify what the question is.
I think my specific question was, had you been seeing any increased activity from a police standpoint related to the unhoused population in the North Shore? However, again, I do not have any knowledge of neighbors complaining necessarily about that. No, I'm purely on a Troy Hill citizens sort of fact finding.
This is Bill Holstrick. Pardon me coughing or anything, I have COVID right now. One thing I have heard is like there's people who have like unleashed dogs down there that are getting into like entanglements with people walking their dogs. So that's the only issue I've heard.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just, I appreciate that, that information, Bill, and appreciate the clarification from you all, because sometimes folks are asking from the perspective of how can we help these folks find housing? Sometimes folks are coming at it from, hey, I don't want to have to look at this. And so I'm trying to figure out which side of the discussion you guys are approaching this conversation from, and then tailor my answer to that question.
I mean, personally, obviously, we would want to see everybody have housing. That's like a basic human right. However, for this meeting context, I wanted to know if there's anything that we needed to bring to our neighbors' attention related to that situation.
Yeah, I would just reiterate, I think we've probably discussed it before, but if we haven't, my apologies. But you know, we do have a policy of we don't try to relocate any unhoused individuals or their belongings unless there have specifically been reports of some sort of hostile behavior. Not everyone likes that answer, and that's why I was just trying to understand what the challenges are for you all. So if it's, hey, we run on this trail and it's really, you know, not the thing we want to see every morning on our run, which I get, because it's sad when you see folks who are unhoused. It kind of makes you have to be confronted each day about some of the real challenges facing our society right now. But we do have a pretty strict policy to take as compassionate of an approach as possible, unless there are, again, instances of violence or hostility being reported. And if those are happening, please do let us know. The police do coordinate with the Roots program at Allegheny Health Network in the way we approach a lot of these conversations with our unhoused residents. Roots knows every single one of these folks by name. They provide case management to every single one of these folks, as the commander already shared. Most of them are just on lists, and we're trying to help. You know, the city is excited about 140 new beds that are coming in the new facility that we're a part of this fall on 2nd Avenue. So there's good news that on the way.
Okay, I think that's some great context. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, thank you for that conversation. And thank you also for joining us, our friends from Zone 1. Now I will invite the Alcosan folks to give us an update. Alexis and Joey, are you on the line?
I'm here. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Some of you may have heard this discussion before, but I'm here tonight to talk about Alcosan and the work we're going to be doing with the Clean Water Plan that's coming soon. So if I may, I'm going to share a PowerPoint. Okay, everybody can see this, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, thank you for having us tonight. This is, we want to tell you a little bit about who Alcosan is, and then why we're doing what we're doing with the Clean Water Plan, why it's important. Shameless plug real quick, for those of you who are bored and don't have anything better to do, we have a page on our website called Follow the Flush. And you can put an address in and hit the flush button, and it will tell you the distance that flush travels to our sewage treatment plant on the north side, how long it takes, depending on wet weather, so on and so forth. So for tonight's purposes, I did an address on Lowry Street. That flush would take about 39,000 feet, or about 8 miles, before it got to the plant. And on a dry day, anywhere from 5 to 11 hours. So it's an interesting tool. It's funny, but it's an interesting tool because it shows you the complexity of the sewer systems in Allegheny County and in pardon me, in Alcosan's service territory. So again, what I want to talk about today is about who we are, why we're important, and then get into the really meat of the Clean Water Plan and what's going on now and what's going to be coming in future years. For those of you who are not as familiar with us, we provide wastewater treatment to 83 communities in Allegheny County. That includes the city of Pittsburgh. That's our largest customer, obviously. We are on 59 acres over on the north side. That's grown a little bit. We are growing the plant considerably right now. We can treat up to 250 million gallons per day. That is part of this expansion that's undergoing. We're going to increase our capacity to treat wastewater. We do operate 24/7, 365, and that's important because of all the construction going on right now. We're still having to operate the plant as it would be just a normal day. We are completely funded by our ratepayers. We are not subsidized by any government entity, nor do we get grants or anything like that. So the money that comes in from all of us who pay these rates, who pay these bills, goes back to Alcosan and what we're doing, both in the Clean Water Plan and on a day-to-day basis. Real quickly, the red lines that you see here, that's 90 miles of pipe. That's interceptor pipe that Alcosan actually owns. Everything else that's in that kind of golden area, there's about 4,000 miles of pipe that is owned either by a municipal authority or a municipality that Alcosan has no relationship with, so to speak. So it's we have a very unique system in Allegheny County. This just further kind of shows you what I was talking about. To the right of the graphic, everything in the yellow is what is a homeowner's responsibility. The things in the center there in the orange, that's what falls under the authority of either a PWSA, Hampton Shaler Water, or local municipality. And then the blue things obviously are ours. You know, that's where we catch everything that's coming downhill, so to speak, and we take it to the plant. As I'm sure many of you are aware, the problem that we are facing now is we have about 9 billion gallons of overflow that go into our waterways every year. This happens because the system is not sized for the rain and the rainstorms and snow melt that we're getting now. So because our system cannot move that much water to the plant to be treated, it overflows into the river. It's illegal. It's something that we have to stop as part of our consent decree. And to do that, we have the Clean Water Plan. This was approved in 2020 by all of our regulators from the federal government all the way down to Allegheny County. The projects we're going to talk about tonight have to be completed by 2036. So at the end of 2036, that 9 billion gallons a year will be reduced down to 2 billion gallons per year. It's a significant drop in our overflow volume that we estimate every year. Obviously, with an infrastructure project this size, a significant number of jobs are being created. Estimate anywhere between 16 and 20,000 direct and indirect jobs that will be part of this project, and a significant output back into Allegheny County's economic output. So the Clean Water Plan, 4 components. Plant expansion, which I touched on briefly. We have a lot of construction going on now. If you've not been by the plant, there's lots of big cranes and lots of earth moving equipment. Regionalization is where Alcosan is working with our municipality partners, our municipal customers. And we're taking over ownership and maintenance of regional sewers that are serve more than one area, serve more than one municipality, and they're a certain size. If we are successful in taking this over, we will increase our footprint of ownership by about 265 miles. The Grow and Source Control, that's our grant program to our municipal customers for source control projects. And we'll touch on some of those, but we're in our 7th cycle of those right now. That award, I think, is coming out in the fall this year. And then lastly, but certainly not least, the big project is our new regional tunnel system. We will get into much more of that, but just to give you an idea, we're planning somewhere around 15 miles of new tunnels throughout the service territory. So this is what kind of the plant's looking like these days. The big crane you see, the hole that this crane is sitting over is about 70 feet deep right now. It looks a little different. There's a lot of concrete and rebar going up, so the building itself is starting to take structure. The picture on the right is our north end. For those of you not familiar with our plant, you know, we're landlocked. River on one side, railroad and hillside on the other. So for us to be able to expand the north end, the wall that you see kind of in the center of the photo is a river wall that was engineered and constructed to give us actually more property with which to build some of the new components of the plant expansion. Once we're done, we'll be able to do 600 million gallons a day of primary treatment. So what that essentially means is we have these big rainstorms. When the tunnel system is put into place and the plant expansion is put into place, we'll be able to capture all of that water, or a significant piece of it. That water will be then moved to the plant, where we'll be able to treat it with primary treatment. Primary treatment means it is cleaned to a certain point and then put back into the Ohio River. That is within all permitted limits, obviously. The other side of that is we will go from 250 of full treatment to 295 million gallons a day of full treatment. Some of the projects going on, again, this is the East Headworks. This is the big hole in the ground right now. We will build a new lab building. There's a new garage being built right now, and the aforementioned North End project that's going on. Regionalization, real quick again. We're working with with our municipal customers. A lot of them are very close to finalizing transfer to Alcosan. It's a laborious process with permitting, with the paperwork, so on and so forth. So it's taking a little longer, but we are very close to taking over a significant piece of the sewer system that's out in the county. Grow and Source Control, again, everybody's familiar with the green infrastructure projects. Obviously, there are a couple of other we'll talk about in a second. We think potentially about 200 million gallons of overflow reduction taken out of the system. There's been about 60 million in grants that have been given to the municipalities for these projects. What's interesting is we have 51 that have been completed. So now we're starting to get some of that data back on how they're performing in keeping water, stormwater out of the system. The 4 projects, everybody's familiar with green infrastructure. The DSR, the direct stream inflow removal, that harkens back to the old days, so to speak, when everything needed to flow into the sewer. So a lot of streams were diverted to sewers instead of running to another body of water as they once did. So once we took a lot of those out and put them back into a natural bed, took a lot of water out of the system. Another projects that have been very successful for our municipalities is the inflow and infiltration. We all know our infrastructure is old throughout the county. So you get a lot of sewer pipes like the one shown here. You get a lot of cracks that you would know that were there. But when it rains, that allows that rainwater to get in there, and that water eventually makes it Alcosan. It's not water that needs to be treated. So they're able to line those pipes, keep that water out, and that removes a significant amount, again, out of the system. This is the big one, obviously. This is our new regional tunnel system. Again, this is about 15 miles of new tunnel that is planned. They're going to be built in 3 segments. So the green line that you see and the 2 smaller tunnels is the Ohio River Tunnel. The 2 smaller lines that you see there, one is a smaller tunnel that will pick up Chartiers Creek. The other one will pick up Sawmill Run. Those are both areas with a lot of overflows and pollution. So this will alleviate a lot of that. Excuse me. The second blue line that you see is the Allegheny River Tunnel. That'll be the second piece that's built. And then lastly is the third piece is the orange line, and that's the Monongahela River Tunnel. Let me emphasize that while this looks ominous, this is all underground. The majority of everything that you see on this map is underground, 150 feet deep. To give you an idea of why we're doing this, this is what's in the ground right now. This is our infrastructure. This was built in the 40s and 50s. A lot of people may not know Alcosan's not been around that long. The plant went into operation in 59. Before then, dilution was the solution. Everything flowed downhill through the pipes and then right into the river. So we haven't had sewage treatment all that long. This infrastructure was built to the best standards of that day, obviously, but as we said before, we're at a stage now where this infrastructure can't handle the amount of stormwater and rainwater that we're getting. So just to give you a brief education piece on what happens when this deep interceptor that we own, this is our existing combined sewer system. That's what Pittsburgh is, combined sewer. When this gets overcharged and we can't handle any more of that water, that's what causes this outfall and this overflow. So that's where we get into the problem of this diluted sewage and stormwater that's flowing into the rivers. This is the new infrastructure that we're building. This new infrastructure will allow us to take that stormwater out of the existing system when it gets overcharged and move it into the new tunnels, thereby storing for a while, and then we'll take it and move it to the plant where it'll be treated. So a lot of this, again, nobody's ever going to notice. 150 feet deep. What you will notice, and again, that's going to be somewhat subjective depending on where you are. But the regulators, these drop shafts are surface facilities that are part of the system. Those are things that will be more visible to people during the construction. One thing to keep in mind too is why we are citing this new infrastructure is because it really needs to be obviously close to what's existing in the ground now. It wouldn't be cost effective and it wouldn't really be a wise engineering move to locate new infrastructure a long way away from the infrastructure that you're trying to really assist during these events. So the tunnels, again, 150 feet deep, 14 to 18 feet diameter. The majority of them will be dug using the tunnel boring machine, much like they did with the North Shore Connector. The machine that we are looking at also, as it is chewing through the bedrock and removing it from the hole, there's a machine behind it that actually puts sections up, thereby building the tunnel as the machine goes along. Again, this is the surface facilities that we talked about. These are the things that will be more noticeable to people. The construction of the regulators, the consolidation sewers will be fairly large work sites. The drop shafts and the entry and exit points for the tunnel boring machine will be relatively the largest or larger sites that people might notice during the construction. I want to point out the picture at the bottom. That's an example of a leave behind in a project where tunnels were done, where a shaft was built. Options like this will exist for a lot of what we're going to be doing. Some places we will not ever need access again. Some places like this one that's illustrated, it does allow us access to go in and clean or to do maintenance as necessary. Implementation of kind of everything in this tunnel system is over the next 15 years. We are approaching 30% design of the Ohio River Tunnel project. Construction will start in 2025. What to notice on this timeline is the overlapping of construction of one tunnel with the beginning of the design of the next segment of the tunnel. This is important because, again, we have a deadline that has been set by the regulators of 2036 to have all of this done and have everything commissioned and in operation. The one other piece of this that we don't talk about as much, but it is interesting, we're also building a new wet well. If any of you have ever been to open house and gone through the tour, the wet well is the very deep well pump house where all of our interceptors come in. So all of the flow that Alcosan takes on comes into that wet well. Well, because of the new tunnels, we will also need a new wet well. This one right now is in early design, but we think it's going to be deeper than the one that we have now, which I believe is still the lowest point in Allegheny County, but I'm not 100% certain on that still. Adaptive management, some of you may have heard talk about that. That goes back to the data that we're starting to receive from the GROW projects. It's also data that's coming from our municipal customers for any of the projects that they're doing as part of the consent orders they're receiving to keep water out of the system. Anything that's done upstream helps us in the long run, and it can change some of the things that we do as we continue through the next 15 years. Ask you please follow us. We want to come back obviously and give you updates as we get further along in the process. But we have a significant section on our website. Gives you all types of information about the Clean Water Plan. We have a quarterly newsletter, electronic newsletter, and then we are getting more and more active on social media, and we'll do more of that obviously when we get into the construction phase. Lastly, I have to get a plug in, or Arlette is probably going to fire me. We do have open house this year. If you have never been, I would recommend it. Some people kind of curl their nose up and think, why would I want to go to an open house at a sewage treatment plant? But it's a lot more interesting than you would think. So please spread the word. Please come and join us. It's a lot of fun. You'll get to see the construction up close and personal. It's free and it's open to the public. And that's all I have, guys. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know I've thrown a lot of stuff at you, so please fire away.
No questions.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming and sharing that with us. Now I'll turn it over to the mayor's office, Rebecca.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be really brief tonight. The only thing I wanted to get on your radar is that PLI, which is for those of you who don't know, the city's Department of Permits, Licenses, and Inspections, has launched a new software called Agency Counter. Those of you who are into data around code enforcement and building permits and things like that might formerly know this as Civic Central. And so as part of this launch, PLI really wants to empower community members and groups like yours who are interested in getting some education on how to use this application for your benefit. So if any of you are interested in participating in a virtual training that PLI is working with the mayor's office to coordinate, let me know. You can just drop your information in the chat, or you can send me an email and I will put my information in the chat. And so basically this is a training for anyone who wants to know how to find their own data around like what what properties on your block are currently in violation of various city codes, what areas on your block or in your neighborhood are currently under a plans review or like a building permit application review. Things like that are now, well, not just now, some of this has always been available, but PLI is working to improve the amount of data that's available to the public. And they also want to work to improve showing residents how to actually use this. So just let me know if you're interested in this training. And I've been going around to all the different neighborhood groups to see how much interest there is. And once we see how many folks are interested, we'll know how many of these trainings we need to schedule. And then I'll be getting back around to all of you to let you know what those dates are. So thank you so much. That's all I've got tonight. If there's any questions, of course, I'll take questions too.
Is she, huh? Is she the person who would tell about all the weeds on Troy Hill?
No, that's coming up next. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Thank you, Rebecca. I don't think we have any questions here, and I see we have Rebecca's email address in the chat too, so we'll distribute that to folks if they have other questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't see Kennethon from,
No,
no.
okay,
I don't-
cool.
So we can skip.
We'll skip, and then Councilman Wilson's office, Faith, I think is on here.
Yes, hello everyone, good evening. I do have a few updates for you all this evening. The first of which being in regards to the Rialto handrails. We did get word from Mr. Joyce at DPW that half of the handrails are painted and ready to be installed. The other half still need to be painted. The contractor is waiting for both to be painted before installing them. So that's where we're at as far as that is concerned. Also, in regards to the Cowley Rec Center meeting, we have reached out to Assistant Director Marcel Newman to get a date for the meeting and for next steps on the project. Once we do get that information, we will be sure to relay it to the Troy Hill Citizens Council leadership. So definitely keep an eye out for that upcoming meeting information as we receive it. Also, our office, if you all know anyone either within your neighborhood or just within District 1 itself that would possibly be interested in our newly formed community relations manager position, we would be more than happy to take any information or any resumes that anyone would like to provide. And you can also see our office's Facebook page for more information in regards to that job listing. So I will leave our contact information and also leave the name to our office Facebook page as well, just for more information in regards to that listing. But if there were any other questions, concerns that I'm failing to bring up that may have been mentioned at previous meetings, feel free to let me know now or in the chat or even after the meeting, if that is also more convenient for anyone, and I'll be more than happy to get updates to you and have those concerns addressed accordingly. But thank you all for having me this evening.
Faith, I think we have two questions.
Gotcha.
Well, I have two questions. First of all, I know that you emailed about the weeds on Troy Hill Road. They have not yet been cut back. I just wanted to circle back around and add that back to the list.
Gotcha. I'll be sure to take another look at that and see if I can get in contact with the Department of Public Works to see if they can get that handled as soon as possible.
Great. The second thing is also related to Troy Hill Road. So when we had a car accident, I'm sure you might remember, there was the guardrail on Troy Hill Road was smashed right at that little curve. The crews just threw the guardrail over the hill, which doesn't seem like a very sustainable thing to do in our city, just to toss trash over the hill. I got some photos from a neighbor. After the meeting, I'll send that to you. I'd love if we could get that removed and disposed of the proper way.
Gotcha.
Not seeing anything in person for Councilman Wilson's office. And Faith, is there anyone on the line with questions?
Nope, I'm not seeing anything here in the chat on my end.
Cool. All right, well, thank you, Faith. I think that's everything from our guests. I'm just gonna pivot quickly to talk about some Troy Hill citizens updates. We do have a survey about Rialto Street that Abby is.
I'm working on it still,
developing.
yeah.
Um,
We'll cross that bridge at the next meeting, I think, or,
Okay.
or at some point in the week or two coming.
Sure, okay. Also the 1300 Gardner Street project, right at the top of Troy Hill Road. That project is supposed to be complete in November, December, according to their architect. That's just the most recent update that we have about that, that apartment building. That's going in there. I don't know, does everyone know what I'm talking about? No. Yeah.
10 apartments on each front. I'm against it.
It's going to be an apartment building.
Do you remember the old Troy
Can
Hill
afford
mural
it.
where it was like you have South Providence, and they're doing all that construction, it's gonna be like,
Not
I can't
enough.
remember, like 20 units with parking underneath. Yeah,
So they're building the parking structure now.
yes.
They say November or December to be, I just don't, I don't know. That's what they said.
We'll see.
With the fire, this is being recorded too. Well, I'm not on camera.
Okay, I just that's funny.
The firehouse development team led by Chad Chalmers at Wildland Chalmers did get their variance approved from the URA. And they're currently working on financing to get that project off the ground. At our next meeting in October, we're gonna have the business owner who's actually gonna be operating the market that's going in there. She'll be invited and hopefully she'll come and speak and tell us about her vision for the new business. And then the last thing is Pigtoberfest. This is sort of Troy Hill Citizens' signature annual event. Would love everyone to come check it out on October 1st, which is Saturday. Anyone in this room who wants to volunteer to participate and help get that off the ground, let us know. We would definitely appreciate some additional community involvement with that. Speaking for Abby, but also myself. And that's it for Troy Hill Citizens updates. I think,
Can I add one thing about Pictorica?
yeah,
I just remembered, we are open to having vendors who want to sell their wares, who want to have a table at Pictorica. We're gonna do a Google form so you can sign up. We'll probably charge a nominal fee, like $10 a table or something, just so people have some sort of commitment to show up there. Yeah, we'll do the same thing as we've done in years past. There'll be food on site. There'll be some beverages, games, music. Penny, our board member who's not here tonight, is really excited about this pig racing game. She wants to get all the neighbors to play. So when Penny is at Pigtoberfest, look for her because she'll be doing some sort of pig racing. Very exciting.
Rebecca, do you have your hand raised?
I do. I'm so sorry. I meant to, I actually had a question for you all earlier. Abby, do you get those PWSA notifications I've been sharing? And do you want to continue? Like, are those helpful? And
I do not get them right now. I don't think the Troy Hill Citizens Gmail is on their list, so it is very helpful, yes, and I would love to continue to get those. You can forward them right to our Troy Hill Pittsburgh email, or you can send them to me.
oh yeah, I think I've been sending, I think I've been sending them to like your personal then. Okay, so just redirect them to what's the organization's account? I'm sorry.
TroyHillPittsburgh@gmail.com.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure it's not, like inbox clutter for you guys. Thank you.
Happy to get those notices. Sometimes I get the robocalls and sometimes I don't, depending on where they're doing the work, so.
All right. Lastly, remaining meeting dates for 2022, October 12th is the next one. And then on December 14th, again, we'll meet and we'll have some board voting. Yeah, so that's everything that we have on the agenda. Anyone want to raise any additional agenda items with the community group at this time, either here or on the line?
When is the October fact?
It's October 1st. First of the month,
Okay,
the Saturday.
I have a question. I'm seeing more and more trash cans on the sidewalks.
What-
Is there a law
In front of
against that?
What, you mean like personal trash can?
Yeah,
I feel like this came up recently.
Along Rialto Street, Straub's Lane. They're right in
Lane.
front of the houses. I
Uh,
mean, it looks
Faith, do you remember?
trashy.
Did this come up at a previous meeting in relation to Airbnb? I don't remember. I feel like we did talk about the trash can thing, and I don't know if there's a law in the books.
I'm not entirely off the top of my mind. I cannot recall. But where's the trash being accumulated?
Well, so I think what the complaint I'm hearing correctly, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that neighbors are keeping their trash cans all week out front, in front of their houses.
Yeah. Because they're too lazy to bring it out from the back.
From the back, I see.
I've knocked on doors and politely said, do you know you're not supposed to leave
Yeah.
them on the
That's a
sidewalk?
great question. Maybe Faith can look into what the actual, does anybody know I don't know the actual rule about it.
Usually
On
the 5, it's after 5 the day of.
the flyer that they send us every year telling you the dates of
Yeah.
pickup says from 6:30 in the evening to like 7 in the morning.
I see. Okay, so I
Day
think,
before, like, so our garbage is Friday,
right, you can't put
put
it
it
out,
out after 6 o'clock on Thursday.
right, and then take the cans. I see. Okay.
Two doors down has about 7 o'clock
I think
Thursday
that
morning.
might be, let's see. I think that might be a 311 request. What do we think, Faith?
Yeah, I would definitely start out with a 311 request, and you can also, if you would like to, just so we can have I can have the information in writing. I can also take the information either from the 311 request that's created, or if you all would like to email me a brief summary, and we can put in another 311 request on top of the one that you put in, just so that there's double record of everything. But that's the best way to start.
So I think what you should do also, Faith, before you leave tonight, Faith put the Councilman Wilson's office in the chat. You could also ring them up and have them maybe help you enter the 311 request for like a whole, like if there's a whole set of new neighbors that are kind of breaking the gut rule, you could write down the addresses and submit it all.
Okay, it's like 2 of them were doing it, now the whole block is doing it.
Yeah, you got a troublemaker.
You know?
There,
It's
you
a
might
lot of
also,
renters. It's right,
just
it's
for
the renters.
you know,
Mhm.
just to let you know, I never understood whether or not it was supposed to be in the front or the back when they
Mhm.
picked up. So maybe, I don't know if there's like in Bloomfield, it's very specific, like you have to put it in the alley.
Right.
Can't
Well,
put it out front, so maybe there might, I don't know what the rules are here. I never did find out.
Years ago, there was someone who was on the board and she kept reporting the ones on Plain Street. Till finally they took the garbage cans.
No, but I mean, like, if you need to let people know, because obviously if you don't know, you don't know where to put
No,
it.
some of them just. don't
Well, what I
know.
mean is like maybe send out a flyer, or something, so people, because obviously our students, they don't really
Okay.
know.
So I think, an action item for us as trail citizens, we can follow up, we can follow up with Faith on what the actual rule is, and we can share that around as well to make our neighbors aware. Because I also don't know the rule, and you're right, some houses back up, some houses have.
Alleys, and
frontage
sometimes
on
they
both.
go for the garbage company, I think. I don't know, I really don't know, honestly.
I
Or
don't
maybe
know.
they just pick up when they pick up, I don't know.
Right. We will investigate that. However, before you leave, we'll get you Councilman Wilson's office number, so you can at least call about the ones that are.
1, 2,
You
2, 5, 5, 2.
You're right. Just got it covered.
No, it's the same as though, same as Darlene's number.
Okay,
It's the same as Darling.
It'll change.
Oh, that's. confusing. Yeah. Good question. We can work on that. Anything else? Evan?
So I'm gonna be having an event on September 25.
Mhm.
That's gonna be the opening of the next art house. I don't know if you guys have heard about that project. So it might get a little crowded. I don't think we're gonna ask to close the street or anything, but I just asked everybody who's kind of in that Hollinger Tours, Karen Pickle access that the 25th could be more people than you like, but it's just the one day, it's 12 to 6, it won't spill over into the evening. And we'll try to make it as clean and easy as possible, but we've been warned that the artist for this house is way more popular than I understand. And so it might be a little crazy. So asking for forgiveness in advance.
I think that's awesome.
Another coffee shop. What's going in Pear and Pickle?
Parent Pickle is going to be a defer coffee. And my understanding is that they will be open by the end of the month.
Coffee.
We'll invite them to our next
We
meeting.
need that.
Well, I think that they are eager to be engaged. I just wanna, I sold the building, so if they do anything that makes everybody angry,
Evan,
please don't blame me.
Evan,
I'm out. But yes, they seem to be good guys, good people, and the people that have sampled their what they have to offer in other parts of the city seem to have a good opinion of them, both in terms of being a neighbor and also in terms of what their product is. And my understanding is that one of the reasons that they bought it is that it has a commercial kitchen, and so none of their other outlets have kitchens. And so they're thinking that they'll just, you know, even if no one shows up, even if it's a slow day, they're making food for 4 different outlets that will get trucked out. So they'll always be busy, but I'm sure that they're eager that there will be actual customers too.
What will the hours be?
Not a clue,
Okay.
not a clue. I know that they were concerned when they bought it, that it was open early enough. I think they want to be open earlier than Parent Pickle was. But they're not interested in being open later than Parent Pickle was. It won't be an evening thing unless it's a special event.
All right. Great news. We'll watch out. We'll put our fire chairs on the 25th.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah. If you live in the that block of tours, but stay parked that evening.
Right.
Tours and Rialto Place. They all park on Rialto Place. We don't mind. We're glad to see the store open.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is for the art house opening on the 25th, but that applies too, for sure. So. Cool. Were there any questions in the chat? I can't debate.
Just the mayor's office asking about when Inktoberfest is.
I'll email Rebecca and I'll mark Katie first after I get my design made.
And what's in Scratch now?
Scratches there, so, other neighbors who have been there can chime in on this, but I believe Scratch is now operating with some limited, breakfast and lunch service too. Has anybody been there?
Yep, been there. So they've been open. I think they've started expanding over time. They've started sort of with limited service on the later part of the week, starting at 7 a.m. Weekends, I believe they're looking to expand that eventually to around, I think, a week. But yes, they are open right now. I'm gonna misquote it, but at least several days a week from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. for breakfast and lunch service, and then open again for dinner service and the evenings that they work. And I think there will be some expansion. My thing,
Oh, yeah, it's a slow rollout.
Yeah.
And so right now, I think it's Thursday through Sunday, and then eventually they'll go to 7 days a week.
They're on the list for the restaurants, you know, that's fresh.
Yeah, they operate a regular restaurant, like, I mean, I don't know what from the open maybe like 4 or 5.
5 o'clock.
Yeah, and then, so what they do regular dinner service, but they're adding breakfast and lunch on limited days.
I have never been in there.
If they're on the restaurant list this week, you know, that restaurant thing, I think it was like $40 and then you could get like a full thing.
What came up on my iPad today?
Yeah.
I was surprised. Cause I live about 2 blocks from the place,
You're
but I
gonna
didn't
have to
know.
go to dinner.
Never
Hey
been
Janet,
there.
you and Janet, go to dinner.
I was in there once.
All right.
Name's having a chicken parmesan dinner.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll turn that around,
Of
so.
August or September?
August. Friday, August 26th, 4 to 6:30 PM, chicken parmesan dinner, most holy name, $15.
Grace Lutherans having something on Saturday from 1 to 3.
This Saturday?
Yes, some kind of, kibasi, sauerkraut, and potato pancakes.
Oh,
From 1
wow.
to 3.
Okay, well, we don't know the price on that, but that sounds delicious. 1 to 3 this Saturday. What's the date on that?
That in Monteleone's window.
The 13th. Okay. Wow, lots of good food going on. Any other announcements?
Logger Street was closed tonight. They had the fire hydrants open again. I don't know if that's in conjunction with Homer Street work.
Homer, now we got noticed that the
Yeah,
water was off tonight.
Yes, I know. I saw the crew. I drove down Spring Garden Road and I saw the crews. Yeah, we've had quite a lot of water issues in Troy Hill, but unfortunately, I think, luckily they're doing it in the middle of the night, so hopefully.
This is replacing a 5-inch valve.
Valve.
You mean with on Homer Street or you mean the fire hydrant?
Homer Street.
Okay. I don't know anything about the fire hydrants. I don't know, Sam, you're.
No, they had,
6 year removed.
no, there was a guy riding around and when I went past, they had the hydrant open and the street was closed. It was Logger.
Oh, why it's closed, we could let it close.
Service is off again tonight from 9 to 1 and 5, 9 PM to 5 AM.
Marsh
Yeah, I think
is
that's
back open.
related to the
No,
Homer
yeah, it
Street.
was
Okay, I think so.
about 2 weeks.
I think the fire hydrants, they might just be flushing them. I haven't heard anything.
I don't know if it had to open the water.
Right.
I got free water.
They charge now. City gets charged.
Interesting.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and dismiss
Yeah.
our online guest.
I think we're done.
Yeah, it seems like the end of the meeting.
Great.
Huh?